Hello, and welcome to another episode of All Elite Arcade, your go-to podcast for video gaming here in the world of AEW. Today is a special episode because it's not just myself, Evil Uno. It's not just the Chugs here. We have our very first guest member of the party.
Yeah,
Swiss Claudio Castagnoli.
I was imitating Chugs with the hot hands.
Yes, please.
I was going to say we can all do it.
And then I was gonna say I'm like a fly on the wall because flies are evil. Because every time you see them, they sit down and they go like this. They do.
They do.
That is nice joke number one.
Yes.
No, dude. Flies are always up to no good. They always sit there and they go.
You're
not wrong.
You make a great point. Also, now the people who are listening to this on your audio podcast, you have to go and watch the YouTube version, youtube.com/aewgames to watch us rub our hands. It's great content.
Or just go find a fly and see what it's doing.
Yeah.
It's plotting. And then you will know exactly what we're doing.
Yeah. We're all being flies as we speak. Claudio, welcome. We're here. We play and we talk about the video games that we are actively playing. But because you're our very first guest, we kind of want to give you the floor on what you are playing and what you like. We kind of know because we know you. I know Cole has spent a lot of time playing video games with you, and I've spoken you've spoken at nauseum to me about the things you enjoy at the very least.
That doesn't sound very good. That just sounds like
No, it's a very good thing.
It's a great.
Like me and Uno. Oh yeah.
You know that meme where Silver has Anna Jay just like cornered, it just talks to her like, hey, so let me that sounds like you talk to me ad nauseum about what you're playing.
It means sometimes I get to a locker room and you just want to unload some League of Legends lore video stuff. No, that's not true.
Yeah.
I just mean I've questioned you about this stuff before too, because a lot of the games that you play are other than we will get into Helldivers. I think collectively we all love it, and so we'll talk about that maybe after. But you love a lot of the games that I have no real experience with, and the main one that I know would be League of Legends, which it's funny because we've known each other for a long time, but when I originally met you, I would have never pictured you as a video gamer, to be honest.
I wasn't.
You weren't at the time either.
Right.
And it's also very hard for me to imagine you being super deep into League of Legends, because that is that's a meaty video game. That is a game that takes years and years to master. So what's your interest in it? I
thought you were going to say that takes years and years of your life.
Maybe as well. I know it's stressful.
Because it does both. It does both. I haven't played video games because when I think I told this story many times. I came to the United States. I wanted to be a professional wrestler, and then I started playing X-Men Unite and Guitar Hero. And then all of a sudden it was like, it's 5:00 and you haven't done nothing yet. And I'm like, after 3 days of that and running to the gym at 8:00 and then going to the grocery store at close to midnight, I was like, I should probably just stop doing that and kind of focusing more on what I life. And then fast forward years later, when Xavier Woods organized the NXT versus WWE League of Legends game, I was like, oh, what is this? This looks like fun. Fast forward to 5 years later, me just wasting my life trying to get better at League of Legends, which is literally the only thing. Not literally, because I don't want to sound conceited, but it's the one thing I feel like I just don't get better at. I still suck at it, which I just came to blame on me being, a 40-something-year-old slow reaction time man that, loves the game, think it's really a lot of fun. I go through phases. I actually did pretty well this season, but then I stopped playing once Helldivers came out. So I haven't played in a month, but I do go through phases. I love the game. I love watch esports. I love watch the esport of League of Legends. It's so much fun to watch. The lore videos and the music videos are out of this world. Arcane You haven't seen it. It's on Netflix. It's called Arcane. It's essentially a story with the League of Legends characters. It's insane. It's like really, really, really good. Even if you don't like League of Legends, even if you have no clue what League of Legends is, it's a really good series. But if you like League of Legends, like the Easter eggs they put in there are like unreal. Yeah. Like there's like voice lines from the game, voice lines that correspond with the games, and so on. There's a lot of thought going into it. So, I just yap about League of Legends. Big fan of it. Makes me furious. Like I don't think any other game does.
That's a sign of a good game, though. I think. I like a challenge. That seems like the most challenging, unattainable game.
It's so challenging, Uno. Because I do want to say this quickly, and Claudio, I don't mean to cut you off, but from when you first started playing League of Legends to like last year when we finally played together, because me and Claudio got to play like one time on stream like a year ago. The progress that he made as a player is massive. Even if you don't see it, it was like you led me through completely what I was supposed to do from when we knew nothing about what to do. So you definitely have made a lot of progress.
It's just so frustrating because like it's one of those games that you can play as good as you want and next to perfect, and then one guy on the team just goes right. The whole game is just out the way, and you're just like, no, what is happening? Why is it unraveling so fast? Like, just it's obviously 5v5 PvP that just is like, I think 90% of the time, it's all mental, right? Like,
yeah,
guys want to give up after 4 minutes because they fall 2 deaths behind, and I'm like, dude, you're not a pro. In pro play, if you're down 5 minutes in, you're screwed. But even there, like, I've seen crazy comebacks.
That's they can turn it around.
It's crazy, but like, yeah. If you're down, like, minute 5, you're like, okay, this goes out the window. Like, you're playing down with me in bronze. Like, nah, we're good. Like, like. Just a bunch of idiots trying to play the game, and whoever doesn't tilt will win the game. So there's obviously that, but yeah, like love League of Legends, big fan.
Do you have a regular crew when you play this, or do you do this do you do the casual play, or are you in the ladder play?
It's just me and like one friend that I made online playing League of Legends, and I only play ranked because I'm too stubborn. And like I did take coaching lessons, and it's always like, hey, like maybe just play some normal games, get used to the champ, limit testing and stuff. And me, I'm like, no, if it's not ranked, it doesn't
matter.
because then I'm literally like, after like 2 minutes, I'm like, screw it, I'll just run it down and have fun. And I'm like, no, I can't. Like, so it's a mental thing that because I'm too competitive, I think.
You're a competitive player in all video games as well?
Very competitive. I can speak from experience.
So, So and then obviously, like CHUGS knows, we play Uno, we play Mario Party, we play golf, we play whatever. And famous saying, if you don't think this is a competition, then you're wrong. Interesting. Yeah, but like League is definitely one of those that I wish I was better. I marvel at the pros, how they play, and just watching the esport is so much fun, especially with the kind of the culture they created around it, with the memeing and all that kind of stuff.
The world building they've done for their universes, like I can't get into the game because I'm not huge into MOBAs, and it just seems like it's like an overwhelming amount of front end to the game. Like before you can enjoy yourself, it's hours upon hours. But the world they've built is incredible. Like I've seen some of the animes, I've seen some of the music they've created for it, a lot of the little cartoons they've done on the side. It's really neat. Like the world they've created.
All the stuff, the world building is great. They're building like they made some Nintendo Switch and like the good old school like NES style video games. They're working on a giant MMO that's pushed back. They're working on a like fighting game. There are a bunch of stuff that they're working on. But like again, like it's like 150 plus characters. With all different abilities, all different whatever. So it's like just to learn all that, like it's insane. It's a time investment, and like I said, I invested a lot of time, and I still suck because it's like it is like one of those like you have to you have to play like 3 games a day to get just slightly better, right? Mm-hmm. Just to get better and better. But it's again like it's like 40 minutes, like 20 to 40 minutes per game.
They're not sure turnaround.
No.
Like
exactly, and like waiting and everything. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, so it is fun. I love League. I love the community. I love. I still watch even if I'm right now not playing. I still have my like YouTubers and Twitch streamers that I watch. You know, so it's a lot of fun. I'm actually talk to some pro players, which is like fascinating. Nice. So it's really cool, and to me it's like the most fun esport to watch, because even if you don't play it, you can get into it pretty easy, because I mean, like if you just have to watch it and not like try to halfway pay attention to the commentary, because the commentary is so detail oriented that like some stuff will completely go over your head. They go over my head, but like it's easy to follow because it's essentially just like destroy the other guy's nexus, and like it's so hyped, and especially now that the crowds are back, it's
the wide variety of characters also makes it interesting, because like the games don't like I've watched more esports than I've actually played of this game, and the games vary a lot depending on like what heroes they pick, and also like what tactics they start off in the first 10 minutes and such.
So right now the game is in such a fun place, because I remember like a year or two ago, like the meta was just like, I'm like, all right, I can't see this mid lane matchup again. It was like Azir against Corki, I think. It was just like every match just was like the same matchup, because was the meta. You just had to pick it. And now the picks are so crazy. You see champs that are like, literally was like, oh, this is like the first time this is played in pro play or something, like, you know what I mean? Like, or like the first time in like so many years, and like crazy tactics and stuff. So it's like, it's really fun to watch. And especially like some of like Europe, they always have, G2 always have great, fun, weird, teams, or like, team comps. Mm-hmm. So to me, it's just fun to watch.
And the world championships are so unbelievable. Like it's literally the Super Bowl to like see these events happen. Like 60,000, sometimes I'm sure even more.
Oh, the crowds their crowds exceed like I think some of their events have like 60,000 plus people live at it, which is insane.
Yeah. It's insane. I had the good fortune to go to China to an event. I went to the NA. I went to the NA finals. That was in Detroit at the Little Caesars Arena. It was like, it was just insane. It was so much fun to go, and like the crowd is just nuts, and you can feel the rumble when like plays happening. It is really cool. So yeah, I'm pretty into that. Like I could probably fill 15 more minutes with just talking about that.
Well, from one difficult game to another, and also because usually we talk about the games we are actively playing. I put in a little bit of time of this on this week, but the last 2 months I've put so much time into it. You're huge into Helldivers 2 now. For me, what I like about it the most is that it's pure. Like I don't enjoy it on my own. It's a game that I have to share with others, and I feel like the more of my friends I get to my crew, like getting a crew of 4, the better I do at the game, and the more enjoyment I get from it. It's like something that you could drop in. You can get 20 minutes in, you can get 30 minutes in, depending what missions you end up jumping into. And I've been like, I love the weird quirkiness of the world, the way it plays. What you've been playing a lot nowadays, Helldivers? Is your crew the same one as well, or do you just jump in freely?
Well, people leave me hanging a lot, right, Chugs? So I just
come on. Come on. Just recently, normally me and Swiss play every night.
I usually send like a text, right, and then like I get an answer like the next morning, and it's just like I'm like, oh yeah, I got it. I just literally I think I have you on my list too, Uno, but it's just like we never happen to be online at the same time.
Oh, I'm rarely online ever, which is surprising because I play so much, but I don't. I just don't jump online very often.
Yeah. So I usually play just like jumping to random games, and it's fascinating. I mean, it's not fascinating. I always get kicked after one game. I'm like, all right, I see you guys don't like playing with me. But I have a lot of fun. I think it's great, and it's the opposite of League, as in like because it's PvE. So I can literally get slaughtered for 20 minutes straight, and I'm having so much fun.
Yes,
and
the best.
And it literally with League, it would happen like I lose 3 in a row, right? And I literally go to bed and I'm angry. I'm like, I wasted 3 hours. What am I doing with my life? I'm a loser. What am I doing? I can't even get good at this video game, you know? And then I play Helldivers. I just get slaughtered for 20 minutes straight. I'm like, this is the greatest. This is awesome.
Losing is like part of the experience for the game. Like
it's my
God, yeah. I think it's fun when you go into it and within like 10 minutes, I've lost all 20 lives. And it doesn't even make me mad. It just makes me feel like, okay, I'm going to play on a slightly lower difficulty, and the next time I come back, I'm going to ruin this map.
You know when you drop right into the hornet's nest, and it's like you can't even call anything down. It's just like you land, you're like, oh God, like what am I doing?
Right.
It's so great, and
I love too that every single game feels different. Yeah. Every single one. Like
very
no
cinematic.
match, no experience is the same one.
Mm-hmm. It's very cinematic too. If you just like look at it, it's also heavily. I don't want to make allegedly. It's heavily leaned on to Warhammer. I feel from like a lore perspective, from you fighting Tyranids. You know, sorry.
No.
What is it?
You're talking about the
sorry, you're fighting Terminids.
The bugs.
Terminids.
Yeah.
And then you fight Necrons. Excuse me. You fight automatons. So it's like it's very similar, and it's awesome because it's that sarcastic, look onto it. Because I mean, I don't want to be reported for what's the word? It's not heresy in Helldivers.
Oh, right.
I don't want to be reported for treason, but we all know who the bad guys are in Helldivers too, right?
Yes, of course.
So
right.
It's the automatons, right?
Of course, yes.
That's why
robots are evil across the board.
That's why we need to get back Cyberstan. So it's just
for democracy.
Yeah, for democracy. So to me that whole thing and like the attention to details by the developers. Is amazing, and you can truly see how they like love the game and they stand behind it. Like when they nerfed the breaker shotgun, and they went like from I think it was like from 16 or whatever it was to 13 rounds in the mag. They changed the magazine animation, like the magazine itself changed. So it's like the attention to details is amazing in that game, and it shows in the quirkiness, it shows in the way the missions are scheduled and made, and it's like the whole us against the world mission statements and stuff.
I really like that approach, like the fact that all of us are banking together for one common goal, and even if you like only participate a bit and come back 3 days later, if it was completed, you were a part of the larger group, and so you still get rewarded. I think that's a really neat approach to multiplayer video gaming.
Can I say something that I don't think is neat? Because I've played quite a few games with Claudio, aka Swiss, and I can't tell you how many times we have called the shuttle down, and I get in immediately, and there's 10 seconds left. And I'm like, Claudio, the ship's going to take off. And he's just out there, just shooting all the bugs, going crazy. I'm like, there's 4 seconds. And with a second left, he'll sprint back and dive in. And it stresses me out so much.
It's like, but there's so many little things that are fun.
It's amazing.
Even so, like I didn't really. It's like stuff that you don't notice. Like I just noticed yesterday, like when you get in the ship and you look up, there's the giant monitor with like all the commercials that play for like Super Earth and like all the stuff that comes in. It's the little stratagem game. Like it's just there's so much fun things in it.
I love like the stratagem game is so unique because it's so stressful in the middle of a fight. When you're just surrounded by things and you just have to input, sometimes it's just like 5 little inputs, but it will detract from my whole flow of. I could be in like in flow state destroying things, and then the second I have to call in a thing, I'm no longer good for like 5 minutes. I love it. 100%. I can't do it. So we love here Helldivers, but we will be back with more news right after this. And we're back. We talked about Helldivers. We talked about League of Legends. I
have one question.
Yes, please.
Just before you go into the news, so we have a little tease for next time I'm on this thing. The other video game I'm really into is Star Citizen that I spent way too much money.
Yes.
Let's talk about that next time. Let's go to the news.
Okay. I'll give
part 2 of the Claudio episode for sure.
I have another one too because I'm fascinated with. Because I know so little about it, and I know that you're into it. We will also give you the floor to talk about Warhammer more, because that's like a whole universe that I know because a lot of things are built off of it, but I feel I don't know anything about. And so we'll definitely once there's another episode, you'll get the floor and you can get to talk about both of those.
I was about to say both of those things. I'll talk forever.
Actually, I do want to do one thing. Are you interested in their video games, or do you do the figures as well?
Look. Oh, there you go.
There it is.
There it is. The Imperial Eagle. There we go. Aquila. Greek hero Aquila.
Greek hero Aquila.
For the Emperor.
Do you have an interest in the figures as well, or are you purely a video game guy when it comes to Warhammer?
I have some figures that I haven't painted yet. Video games, I played a bunch, but what I'm really into in Warhammer is the lore and the books. And the books, it's like I'm in the 5th book from the Siege of Terra series right now, which is I think a 10-book series.
Wow.
And it's like I just read them so fast because they're so good. And it's just like, again, I try to read more. And like I tried to read after like 4 or 5 Warhammer books, I'm like, I need to read something that like
palate cleanser.
No. Like it's not even a palate cleanser, because I'm like, oh man, I should read like a scientific book or something, right? Like on how to become a better human. And it takes me like a month, right? Because it's like you just I'm thinking about it actively. But then the Warhammer books are so easily they hook you, right? Because the stories are so good, and there's always something different. Like for whatever your style of whatever you like for your entertainment. Like there's Spy vs. Spy, that's a really good book. There's like really funny books. There's like really serious books, but like the overall book series with the Horus Heresy ones is like the most famous one, so to speak. It's like so amazing because like there's characters that are just like mentioned for like a chapter or 2 in one book, and you were like, oh, I want to know more about that. And then they're just not talked about for like 2 books until they come back to it in 3 books. So it's like, and then you're like, oh, I know this guy. Okay, so it's like it's very cool because it's so vast.
So anyway. what I'm getting from your stuff is you're really into world building more than anything, right? Like that's what you like about League. You like the lore. You like the.
So I feel like the more immersive something is, the better. And like I feel like that's where like League, right? League is so immersive. You have to spend time. You have to like learn all the characters, all the moves, all like technically, if you want, you need to know every ability of your opponent's laner, like all the top lane champions, what they do, what they don't, what they're good at, what they're bad at, how whatever. So it's like a lot of. So between that and Star Citizen, like I'm screwed. I don't have time for any other video games. Those are like, you know, and then the same with like Helldivers though, because it's like I mean, if you look at it and if you play it, it is beautiful in its simplicity, so to speak. And there's other games that may have better graphics or whatever, but the whole charm and the world building around it and how fun it is to play and how like Chuck said, no 2 missions are ever the same. It's so much fun that you just want to come back. And to me, like the more immersive something is, the better. And that's how I feel like I also fell in love with wrestling, right? Because the more immersive it is, the more stories, the better stories, the more variety of stories and characters there are, the more you want to know more about it, right? And so Yak. Let's get to the news.
We definitely want to dive deeper into more of these things on our next episode, because at this point, it's been softly promised now, so we'll definitely do this again.
It's a guarantee. It's a guarantee. Yeah.
So a part of what we do here on All of the Arcades, we also talk this week's news. We're actually recording this slightly earlier than we would typically, so we may meet when this drops out. We may miss some of those news pieces. If that's the case, do not worry. We will talk about it next week. One of the quick pieces of news I do know is that next week, I believe Monday actually it might be April 26th. It might be tomorrow. Xbox has a indie showcase. That they it's, I believe, a 30-minute presentation. The reason I am talking about this is that next week, if the thing that happens on it is what we think it is, myself and Chugs will talk about Silksong a whole lot.
Please.
But also probably unlikely at the same time. I don't know. I gotta stop thinking this is gonna get announced on every single piece of digital media that comes out.
God, you and me both.
I'm getting too excited, I'll be honest. Big pieces of news that we've had from this week. Dragon Dogma 2 has done so well that Capcom is paying out more money to its shareholders. So to put that into context, Dragon Dogma's sales, in the first game of Dragon Dogma, it took them about a month to sell about 1.5 million units, or 1.05 million units. But for number 2, in 11 days, it sold 2.5 million. Wow. So, and it's already exceeded over 10 million units since it originally came out. So it's only been out for about a month, and it's sold 10 million units, which is a huge, especially for an IP that is not their main Capcom IP, because it's not one of the Resident Evils, it's not any of their ongoing series like Street Fighter and so on. That's a huge amount of sales for something that I always thought Dragon's Dogma was a niche game. Even I never played it. I'm a pretty niche video gamer in general. And so it's kind of surprising to see that it's been so well received.
Well, truth be told, Uno, as well, I remember hearing the rumblings about this game and being like, oh, Dragon's Dogma 2 is going to be this big hit. Mm-hmm. But then I really noticed how big it was based on YouTube, even. The amount of YouTube content that creators have made playing this game and having a blast with it was out of this world. It was like every other video I got, it was suggested gameplay of Dragon's Dogma 2. I've not played it yet, but it looks like complete chaos in the absolute best way.
So the
game looks like an absolute blast.
I haven't touched it either, but I think touching on our previous points, what makes it so interesting to people is that there's a lot of metas that you can dive into on how to generate a character for you, and how you can use the companion system to help you out. And it also just has a learning curve to it. It's not like all the other third-person action games, and so there's a lot of learning that goes into it. It has a huge world too. Claudio, have you played any of this Dragon's Dogma? Not at all, right?
No.
Too busy with your current obsession.
Too busy with my 2 other games. To that point, I feel like a game needs to have either zero learning curve, and I'm not saying Helldivers has zero learning curve, but there's a very low learning curve, but then a lot of skill expressions.
Yes,
that makes sense. Yep. It's because you can you can clearly tell if somebody's really good, or it needs to have a very steep learning curve, because the stuff in the middle is kind of but even things with a high learning curve, you need to have skill expression.
And you have to feel rewarded from diving deep into it, right? So that that's part of what you want. If the depth leads to more and more content, of course it's going to be incredible.
And I think that's been the thing that Dragon's Dogma 2 has at its advantage. It's it to me, in the sense of how expressive the open world is and how much you don't know what's going to happen. There's just been a different video about different situations and circumstances where a monster did a certain thing, or a different enemy showed up, or a different NPC showed up to help you. There's just so many wild things that can happen within that world that creates all these original, organic situations for players. And that sounds very attractive to me. I totally get why the game's so popular.
With the release of this too, Capcom's actually on a roll because they've done well. They had Street Fighter 6, they had Resident Evil 4 remake come out, and so Metacritic went and ranked publishers for the last year of game releases, and Capcom to them is the number one publisher currently in video games. Nice. And that is based mostly on average of their scores from video games. But in the last year alone, they've had games in the over 85 range, such as Resident Evil 4, Street Fighter 6, Dragon's Dogma 2, Ghost Trick Phantom Detective, that's a remake from a previous game. And then the lowest score game that they had, and I didn't even play this game, Exo Primal, was still in the upper 60s. So like they've been releasing a lot of great stuff. And that's, if you go in the last couple of years, they've also, all their remakes have had an incredible amount of care to them.
Yes.
So Capcom's really firing on all cylinders right now. So I've not played any of Street Fighter 6, but I know you, Cole, just recently, actually on Kenny Omega's Twitch stream, you played some against Riho?
Yes. And I got absolutely destroyed, by the way.
I don't know, man. I always liked Street Fighter, but somehow
I love it.
Fighting games are just not the thing I'm good at.
Me and you are the exact same person. I love watching fighting game tournaments. I love watching fighting games. I even enjoy playing them. But man, I am no good at them. Like I am the epitome of a button masher. I get excited and then I just start hitting the light attack button over and over again, and it never works out for me. Never works out. But Street Fighter 6 is really good. Very, very fun game. Even when you lose.
Do you play any fighting games at all, Claudio, or are you too competitive for those as well?
No, I played Street Fighter 2 Turbo on the Switch for quite a bit.
Oh, classic.
Even online. But yeah, again, it's just,
that's a classic for sure. Like
that's my jam.
I was always from the Street Fighter series. I've always been a Third Strike guy. I used to love. Okay. I was a Dreamcast kid when Dreamcast came out. I would like tell everyone how great the system was, and no one would ever listen at the time. But now they know. Now they know.
Yes.
Now that we can go back in the past.
Now it's adored.
Yes. Now everyone wishes they still owned one.
Right.
All right. Next up on our news list, we have one. So by the time this comes out, the game will have come out, but there's an active demo of it right now. The PS5 exclusive Stellar Blade, which is a third-person action game from Korean developer Shift Up, is getting a bunch of good buzz, over 85 in average rating scores on OpenCritic. It launches April 26th, so it will be out once we're out there. I played a little bit on the demo that is available. I can't talk ad nauseum about it, but I do know that, Cole, you've played a little more on it, and you've been watching a ton of videos. What do you think of Stellar Blade as of yet?
Stellar Blade deserves all the hype that it's gotten. First of all, graphically, it's one of the most gorgeous video games I've ever played. Like, all the visuals are so beautiful. The frame rate for me was also incredibly smooth the whole time, and there's a lot of action happening on the screen as well. I love Souls-likes. I love that style of combat, and the game very much reminds me in some capacity of like a combination of like Devil May Cry and Dark Souls a little bit, but there's also some Sekiro in there with the perfect parry system as well. Yeah, which is always a challenge to adapt to because every parry system is a little bit different. So as time went on within the demo, I felt more and more natural playing that. But again, the story is very intriguing. Graphically, it's really impressive. I only played about 30 minutes of it, but I watched a ton of footage. Again, the movement is really smooth. The world seems incredible. It's a really interesting story. Like, even the little bit that I played, I 100% will be buying this game the day of, and I'm definitely going to make sure I'm going to play it. It looks awesome.
That was actually
really,
going to be
fun.
That was going to be my follow-up question, is if you were going to be putting time into it, because I know you know another Korean developed game that came out recently in the last year was Lies of P.
Oh,
you're wearing a shirt.
I'm wearing for our video watchers. Yes, Lies of P was my game of the year.
You came prepared.
So I came prepared.
Yeah, Korea has been developing a lot of pretty crazy third-person action games recently, and
they really have.
And like that's obviously with Dark Souls getting the acclaim that it's had in the last decade, and then Elden Ring essentially, telling everyone how to reapproach open world games and third-person action, and people, like I never thought I would ever complete a From Software game. And then got so into Elden Ring, its lore, and how to play it, and I've completed one. That now I feel like these games that were completely unapproachable are actually approachable for me. So I think I think the general populace are getting more and more into these like very challenging games.
I think so too. I think the Souls-like genre is obviously, to me, within the past decade, one of the hottest new genres of games. You see more and more Souls-like games popping up across the board, and I love it because again, it's finding that fine line between being challenging and rewarding, but also not being so difficult that for your average casual gamer you couldn't jump into it. Because Elden Ring was a very, very tough game, but I do feel like it was the most approachable From Software Soulsborne game. It was a blast. Speaking of that, I just can't wait for the Elden Ring DLC.
I know.
Man.
We talk about it every.
God, I'm so excited.
Claude, you played Elden Ring. Did you beat all of it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yes.
I think, and you were Twitch streaming it at one point as well.
I Twitch streamed the whole thing.
The whole thing. Okay, because I saw your fire giant fight. I remember.
Yeah. No. I brute forced my way through the whole game. That's the only way I could play. Everybody's like dodging and dodge, dribble, dodge.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, no, I just brute forced my way through the whole thing. I had one move, and I was faithful to it till the end, and it was faithful to me. So,
you mastered it.
Claudio, what was your final setup? Like, what was your weapon and armor of choice?
It was always the giant. It was the giant sword with the lion's claw flip attack.
Yes,
and then I had the dude. It was like you can't poise break it. And then I think I had the heaviest armor set. I think it was like the ram. It has the ram horns.
That's what I was gonna say. The bull armor. Yeah,
the bull armor. I had the bull armor, and I was so freaking heavy that I needed to have before every boss fight. I needed to drink the nimble potions.
Yes,
so like I would not, because like I would literally just fat man roll, and I was like, okay, nimble. I have 3 minutes to beat this guy, and I would just literally head on run into them and brute force them down. I killed. I beat Michaela. Wait, is it Michaela?
Melania.
Melania. Sorry. What
yeah.
Oh yeah.
You're thinking of Michaela.
Michaela, yeah.
But Melania. Yeah.
I beat Melania, I think, the third try.
Really? Whoa.
Well. First of all, I used my summons, right?
Me too.
But like, I literally just like, great, run at it, flip, halfway, run away, run at it, flip, like literally like. I brute force my way through the whole game. That's my style. That's all I can do.
But to me, that's the coolest thing about a game like Elden Ring.
Oh yeah, because like everybody plays it different.
Yeah, everyone has a different experience.
Everybody plays it different. Yeah. And I like how you kids talk about Souls-like games. Back in my day, all games were Souls-like. No, but like if you look at like Mega Man, right? Go play Mega Man 2 or play Mega Man 3. It's so hard. It really so like hard. Yeah. You can go back with the passwords or whatever, but like it's really hard because you're just screwed. And then like I remember, I think it was called Ghouls and Ghosts. It was on
Ghouls and Ghosts.
Ghouls and Ghosts. Yeah. And it was literally you have 5 lives, and that's it. And you can. I remember I got like to the last level and I died, and it was just like that's it. You start from the beginning. Your last hour was just wasted. So it's like. I love those games because again, the skill skill and the learning curve is so high, but once you're in it, because of the skill expressions is so fun. You know what I mean? Like
I find it so rewarding when you finally get over that hump too. Like Elden Ring
really
is.
I feel like so like that's what Elden Ring did to a lot of new players or players who haven't experienced that. They're like, no, you butt whooped for a long time. Mm-hmm. And once you beat what was the first boss's name again? You know what I'm talking about.
Rich with the stick. Margit. There's also the tree sentinel outside the store.
Once you beat Margit, right? Like,
yep.
You were like, yeah, I did something with my life. I feel like that's what a video you want a video game, you want it to remember, right? Like,
yes,
yep.
Like we still talk about Elden Ring, and we all knew our build, right? We all knew what we used to beat whatever it was, right? Yeah. So it's like
I had Bloodfang, I remember, and I don't remember any other game's setup, but I remember practically everything I wore in Elden Ring, and
Clear as day.
Yep. So you and CHUGS with the bleed build there, huh?
Yes. I went bleed heavy. Time. I didn't even know it was part of the meta, like the early game meta, is that everyone was like, "Oh, get Bloodfang." I just picked up Bloodfang within the first 5 hours of playing, and then just never tried anything else.
Yep.
I could not get over how effective the sword was, even before I really leveled it up. Yeah. So I was like, "Oh, a bleed build is unbelievable in Elden Ring. It's still a really great build."
My favorite weapon is the staff, right? Or the twin blade in Elden Ring. Right? So once I got the twin blade, I'm like, here we go, and I tried for hours and I just sucked so bad. I'm like, let me go back to my giant sword flipping into people, because I was trying to weave in the with the pole.
You end up pretty much having to learn a brand new game every time you jump to a new weapon, which is really cool. I think that's super fascinating. Cool point,
right? Because you can just play another playthrough. Yeah. So anyway, sorry, I interrupted your news.
Oh, don't worry. All that to say that Elden Ring DLC is coming next month. We're all going to be playing.
Yes.
We have one last big piece of news before we'll get to our third segment and a break. This one's actually more on the sad side. It would seem the VR industry is actually taking a massive hit in 2024, and this is actually on this is a series of hits that VR has had in the last few years. That includes Meta has lost over $3.8 billion on VR AR as of yet. So Meta, which was formerly known as Facebook, reported their first quarter earnings, revealed that they have already lost over $3 billion. Wow. They believe, though, that that's offset by growth and eventual profitability for all of their platforms. But, that's a tremendous amount of loss. And that's not the only thing. Apple just reportedly slashed. They released this Vision Pro headset, a high-end VR headset. And they are not removing, but they are reducing the production of it because it would seem that sales for it has tanked in the U.S.
Nobody wants it.
Nope. Well, I think everyone wants it, but also the price point is just a ridiculous price point.
I'm glad you brought this up, because I think VR is such an amazing piece of technology. Mm-hmm. I think it's so cool and so surreal. A game as simple as Beat Saber is one of the coolest things to me.
That's the one that if I'm ever going to show someone, because I've delved into deep VR world for the last couple of years. And honestly, the most simplistic things to do in VR are what are the most... everyone assumes that shooting and doing first-person games is the way to go. But to me, just dancing with two sticks in my hands is the most fun I've had in VR. I always put someone in front of that game if they get the chance to play it for the first time. Or Superhot, or something that is just a unique perspective that you can't get into another game.
Sure, and as much as I love VR and I never want it to go away, I want it to continue to grow and things like that. But I know before, for people who casually play games, will say stuff like, "Oh, do you think it'll get to a point where there's no controller and everything is virtual reality?"
I don't think we'll ever get there, to be honest.
I would never want that either, and I think a lot of people agree, obviously. But I also want the industry to continue to do well, because there's some really awesome video game experiences I've had with virtual reality, like a lot of us had. But yeah, I'm Uno. I'm with you. The simpler, the better for me personally. But there's also games like Half-Life Alyx that I really want to play that I haven't played yet.
I played the first 5 hours. It is stunning. It is stunning.
Me and Claudio have played some Medal of Honor virtual reality.
I was going to call CHUGS out. There were so many games I would like to play in virtual reality. Meanwhile, he cannot get through 10 minutes of Medal of Honor. Just standing still. I'm like, I can't move. I'm getting dizzy. Yeah. Anyway.
Anyway.
Let's go to the next segment so I can diss VR. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, that's all to say. That is part of what the issue is that I think a lot of people aren't just taking to it. PSVR 2 just recently came out, and people didn't want to spend that extra cost to give it a try. I feel like we're still in a phase where people have to learn.
Yes.
Like it's a new medium entirely. So until us early adopters, until we eventually get to the 4th or 5th model, and it's a lot cheaper, it's a lot lighter, and I think until it has the game. Until it has a Zelda game or it has a Uncharted 5 or whatever the heck the big game is, I don't think it'll ever blow up. Just because it's a medium that is just so different from... Like, you can't sit on a couch and do VR. It's not exactly the same. It's like it's a full body... Even if you're doing seated and it's just your arms, it involves everything.
It's called going outside.
Yeah, that's it. You might as well, right? You might as well at that point.
People want to play video games.
Beat Saber outside, Swiss. I can't do it.
People want to play video games. They want to sit and enjoy their video games. They don't want to. If you want to go and jump around, you go outside. Like if you want to go and go play paintball, right? Like that's what. Okay, like that's what you're gonna do. So that's why nobody's playing VR because if you want to jump around and do stuff with your friends, you already do that, right? Like, so I feel like if I want to play FIFA VR. And
you might as well just go outside.
And I get that treadmill so I can run around on my house and play with my friends. Like, no, just you go outside and play football. Anyway, there's my rant in VR.
Well, you know what? That's a very unpopular opinion. And if you stick around after this break, we'll have a whole lot of more unpopular opinions right after this. And we're back. And we're back actually with a bunch of unpopular opinions. And why? Because we were discussing what we would like to do in our third topic, and Claudio was very adamant that we should fire off a series of unpopular video game opinions. And myself and the Chugs, being the pacifists that we are having a real hard time.
Very hard time.
But I'm going to kickstart it because I feel like I might have one that people will get mad about. And so here it is. I don't think Kojima is that good at making video games.
Stop it.
I think Metal Gear and Metal Gear 2 and Metal Gear 3 and 4 are incredible. I think Death Stranding is stupid as hell. And I also think PT ruled, but I can't get excited for anything he does now. I think artistically he takes a lot of wild turns, and I think that's really he should be commended for trying weird stuff. I don't think he's some revelation in the medium of video game storytelling. I like the Metal Gear Solid games. I love
some of the greatest games of all time.
Yes, I love the stories to most of them except for 4.
I can list 50 video games, and for 40 of them you'll be greatest video game of all time. Yeah. Final Fantasy 14, greatest remake, greatest video game of all time. No, but the problems on Metal Gear Solid, greatest video game of all time.
Hey, this is not insult Chugs. This section of
earlier, the Sword of Destiny, what was it called? The new game you were super excited
Stellar
about?
Blade.
Stellar Blade.
Stellar Blade. Oh, it's got to be the greatest game of all time. We wouldn't definitely play. Look at this shirt. Look at this shirt. Greatest game of 2022 of all time. So, Jux, I love your enthusiasm. Maybe that,
I love video games,
greatest... which is great. Hence the, podcast. But maybe that, greatest game of all time, moniker needs to be... a little more sacred, if you know what I'm saying, right?
I'll even admit this myself.
Hanging it out like other people hand out.
I feel like every year I claim a game is my best game of all time. And so I will concede. I will actually concede to this. I feel like every couple of years I'm like, this is the best game I've ever played. Which cannot be true because the last 2 Zeldas can't have been the best game I've ever played. Elden Ring, well, I might think Elden Ring still is. But
I stand by
I've made that claim too often, and then we'll make a game of the year list. But somehow the greatest game I've ever played of all time gets beaten by a different game. So what am I really claiming? So I kind of agree, Claudio. We might push the gas a little hard on these video games.
All right. Chugs, what is your unpopular opinion?
All right.
He's gonna say
just putting you on a spot there, Chugs.
My unpopular opinion, of course, is going to be me complimenting a game. But I think, and I mean this, I stand by this. Sometimes people attack me for this. I'm sure people listening to this are going to attack me for this. Halo 5 Guardians is an amazing, not only Halo game, an amazing video game. A lot of Halo fans are not huge fans of Halo 5, specifically the campaign, because a lot of the detail within the campaign involved you like reading the books and being super like in tune with the lore. But I stand by this, even if you didn't read the books. I feel like the story is somewhat easy to follow. I understand the surprise of like these 3 other people with Master Chief and this whole new fire team Osiris and these new Spartans. And I understand being like, who are these people? But within that subsection, within that campaign, I feel like they do a good job of explaining everything that happens. Is it my favorite Halo campaign? No, definitely not my favorite. But I think it's a blast of a game, and not just the multiplayer and not just Warzone, but also the campaign. So Chugs is a massive Halo 5 Guardian supporter. Massive.
Just because no one's going to get you in trouble for this, I'm going to add a wrinkle to this. Tell me what game of the year is not as good as Halo 5. Make a statement. Ooh. Make a declarative statement that this game is better than Last of Us 2 or something.
Oh my goodness. Wait, what game is better than Halo 5 Guardians?
No. Well, Halo 5 Guardians is better than what game of the year?
Halo 5 Guardians is better than Overwatch.
Yeah, you're gonna get a lot of trouble for that one.
Up from me.
Not us. I know us will not be pissed, but the Overwatch purists will definitely want to come for your head.
I love you all. I love you all.
This is it. Chugs gets canceled over this one thing. Claudio, you said you came in fully loaded with all kinds of unpopular opinions. What else we got?
I just said we all should shoot off 3 unpopular opinions right from the top of our head. But Chuck's unpopular opinion is how he likes a game.
Hey, Uno made me.
So I mean, I've never played Overwatch in my life, so
it is a great game. Overwatch is a great game.
Yeah.
It is.
Okay. 3 unpopular opinions, just from the top of my head. A, VR is vastly overrated. B, I don't mind microtransactions.
Me neither. You know what? We had a conversation last week.
And C, I think great graphics and cutscenes are vastly overrated.
So I actually agree with that last point, because I think when I started gaming as a kid, it seemed like a bar that needed to be reached. You know, like you played a Final Fantasy and you'd see a cutscene and you're like, wow, I've never seen something this incredible. Nowadays, I'm kind of tired of seeing nice games. I just want to have fun. I couldn't care less. And here, actually, I'll make a claim, an unpopular claim that I know Chugs won't like either. I did not think Final Fantasy 16 was incredible. I thought it was fine, but I felt it was so reliant on like these big set piece cutscenes, and I never actually got to play those cutscenes. You know?
So that's a big problem I have, because like especially nowadays with how far the movie industry has come, or even the animation industry, right? Like you can go watch an animated series or an animated movie, but like if there's a video game and like, okay, I played 20 minutes, now I have to watch a 10-minute cutscene of something that I have zero control over. Like, I don't care. Like, I don't care. I'm going to go watch a TV show, right? And it's like, and it comes to a point where it looks so real, like that it's like, okay, is it like sports games especially, right? It's like the Maddens and the FIFA and the NBAs. Like it becomes so real that it almost looks like you're actually playing with real players. And like, I don't know, kind of weirding me out. But like,
I like the artistic disconnect. Like I would much rather see a cartoon character and feel like I'm playing something rather than like a piece that looks like a movie or something.
In sports games and stuff like that, I get it. And like other video games, again, like if the graphic is great, don't get me wrong, I'm not hating on it. But no. I love good graphics. Don't get me wrong, I love good graphics. I love it if it's like real and like lifelike, because again, I think it helps with the immersion, right? To that point, if you have a cool cutscene, it helps with the immersion, right? But if your whole selling point to the game is, look at this awesome graphic, it plays like crap, the story is bland, but we have cool, great cutscenes, and we have actors in it, and the soundtrack is great, but the game experience is kind of ham and eggy. So it's like, and then you play that game once, you've seen all the cutscenes, and it's done. Like zero interest in it. I don't want to waste my time.
Going off of what you're saying, Claudio, like great graphics and great cutscenes are not a deal breaker. They're more like icing on the cake. Like if your game as a whole is really good, and like you said, the story is really good and all that stuff, but it also has beautiful cutscenes and beautiful graphics, then it's cool.
But again, like, you know, when they're like overdoing it with the cutscenes, and you're like, like you play for 20 minutes, you're like, again, a 5-minute cutscenes, like, I don't like.
I love a good cutscene though.
Yeah, but like, I love a good cutscene. You have like maybe like some people only have like an hour or 2 hours a day that they can play video games, and if I start the game, there's a 20-minute intro cutscene that I have to watch, otherwise I don't get the story. And then I play for 20 minutes, and there's another 5-minute cutscenes. I'm like, what am I doing? You know, VR. We talked about it. It's overrated. If people want to play video games, if people want to play video games, they want to sit on the couch and they want to play video games with either controller, touchscreen, or mouse and keyboard. PC Master Race. But
that on its own is an unpopular opinion for some. So,
I mean, for anybody that's not part of it, because right. You know, clearly you deal with the lag. So then, I feel like if it becomes too immersive, like Chugs was raving about VR, meanwhile the game makes him dizzy after 5 minutes of playing. But like, if you play a good game, you want to play for, you know, an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours at a time, right? Yeah. With VR, you just can't. And again, I feel like some of the stuff in VR, like you just want to go outside. Like you can watch a movie. I feel like experiences in VR are going to be more popular than video games. Like you can watch a concert or a movie in VR. That's going to be more popular than playing a video game. I just feel, because
I'm more fascinated with like the applications of it for sure.
Yes, you know? Because you can sit and watch a concert again in VR sitting. Like if as soon as activity comes into it, I feel like people will just. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, and probably am because I'm old. You know, you just go outside and play. And then microtransactions, just want to justify that really quick. Again, to that point, certain people don't have all the time in the world. And if I can just, you know, pay for my progress a little bit, I don't mind it. Do I think... So, for example, I think Helldivers does a perfect job with microtransactions because it's fairly cheap. You can get the currency in-game. You can actually find it during missions. But if you feel like, you know what, this is an amazing game, and I would like to like support the developers because the price tag was very low for a video game, I can pay some money and I can unlock the war bonds early, or play with different weapons. And none of those weapons are OP. Like the like standard war bond weapons are still always among the A and S tier. And yes, I look at the lists all the time. So I feel like it doesn't set you back like some other games do, which is just like, you know, a walking like paywall that you just run against. I hate that, but I think like a certain amount of microtransactions is actually fine if it helps. Because nowadays it's also, you don't buy a video game. Like certain video games you buy and you play and it's done, right? It's like an Elden Ring. But if it's like a what is it called?
Live service game.
Live service games, like it needs to be sustained, right? And if that helps with microtransactions a little bit, I do not mind that, because I would like. So like to me that also coming from a Clash of Clans player who just didn't have the time, so I was like, I'll press the buttons and buy way too much gems. You know, it kind of is that toss up of like, I have a little bit of extra money laying around, or because I don't have the time. to spend. So that's my unpopular opinion there. But again, like if it's like a walking paywall game, like I'm not going to name the games, but you can go on YouTube and search if Helldivers would be produced by XYZ, and you get the most hilarious videos of just like paywall. Like, no, that's not how video games should be. And I love that Helldivers shows that like AAA game or quadruple A games is a completely overrated term when it comes to video games.
Yeah, it doesn't dictate the actual quality.
Yeah, there's another unpopular opinion. Like, it's just,
I'm of the same opinion. I think like for microtransactions, as long as it doesn't affect rankings, as long as I can't purchase a thing that makes sure that I'm better than you at a video game, then I think it should be fair game. Same with like
Me too.
Visual aesthetics. Like if I think some of it is overpriced? Yeah, sure. Do I like paying $8 for a skin on Fortnite? No, not really. But if I want to be Batman, I like the idea that I could be Batman. I just don't like the concept of, being capable of buying maybe an armor set that gives me a 15% buff or something along those lines. I've never been too big on. And that depends on the developers for sure, right?
Yeah,
of course. And like again, from playing Clash of Clans, which is a complete, I mean, it's fun to play, but again, you could think it's pay to win, but the problem is like you're just going to a higher difficulty level playing higher difficulty players. So it's technically, you know what I mean? Like it's not really pay to win, but I feel like in Helldivers, you do a really good job. Like you can get the fancy armor with a certain, what is it called? Like, with certain benefits, right? But you can also get the same benefits from just playing. Yes. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's just so. Those are my unpopular opinions. But yeah, I couldn't care less. I think cutscenes. The more I think about it, the more I think cutscenes are overrated. Completely overrated.
I honestly don't. I think video games have kind of outgrown the cutscene, and I mean, I still think a cutscene is cool. Don't get me wrong.
I was going to say, in defense of cutscenes, a well-placed cutscene, couple hours into a game with interesting characters,
100%,
incredible. Yeah,
100%.
But your game can't be dominated by it, unfortunately. Like,
100%.
I think, and that's what I've had a hard time with Final Fantasy 16, or even like some of my favorite games are the Yakuza games, the Like a Dragon games.
Oh, nice.
And those are just filled with 20 to 30 minute cutscenes sometimes. And that's just, at that point, I'm sitting down and watching a television show, and it's taking away from the experience, which is I want to be capable of having an effect on the world. And once I don't have an effect on that world anymore, it just isn't what I'm trying to do, at least when I play a video game, for sure. On that note, what is your unpopular opinion? Put it down in our comments down below on our YouTube video, youtube.com/aewgames. We will be back next week for another episode of All Elite Arcade every single Monday, available on all podcasting platforms and on our YouTube page. Gentlemen, now's our chance. We could talk about other things. You can find me, Evil Uno, all across. Where can we find you?
You can find me at twitch.tv/thechugs. Try to stream like 5 or 6 days a week. So hopefully see you there.
And Claudio, are you still streaming nowadays?
No, I am. So to anybody that's still subscribed to my Twitch channel, please unsubscribe. It's just a waste of money at this point. I really please unsubscribe. If I go back to streaming, just watch the ad. But I just like playing the games right now, just by myself or with my friends, without streaming. But I'm sure I'll go back to it at one point or the other. You can find me on Twitch and Instagram, Twitter and Instagram at Claudios CSRO, or on this podcast. Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah. Hey, well, thank you. Of course. I'd like to give a last little plug. You guys are still doing the party. You're occasionally posting stuff.
You can find it over at where is it at the Sweets?
Over on YouTube. There's the party.
Just
YouTube.
Search for the party.
You'll find it.
It will come up. We just do it for fun.
Yeah.
So,
Well, that's it. I think that's what's so fun. What's so good about watching those things is that you're not seeing people forced to play together and creating content. You're actually seeing friends having a laugh and having a good time.
Yeah.
One of my favorite things about it is like every YouTube video you watch is like after like a minute or whatever, it's like, all right, so please subscribe, hit that bell button, and leave a comment if you like it. And I don't think we ever mention that because not like, no offense, but like if you subscribe, cool. If not, hey, whatever. Like
you're still gonna do it. You're still gonna do it.
We're still gonna do it.
Like
no matter what.
We're doing this because we're having fun, not because like, hey guys, if you could leave a subscribe, Anyway, please subscribe to this podcast wherever you listen to those podcasts.
Yes, thank you. Hit that follow button and that subscribe button down below. We appreciate you all of your support. Thank you. Right here, AEW Games, all platforms. You can also find it on all your podcasting platforms, youtube.com/AEWGames. Thank you so much, Claudio, for coming this week. We will have you back because we soft promised it. But thank you so much for talking video games with us this week.
Yeah, thank you. First guest ever.
First guest ever. Goodbye.
Oh, is the camera still on?
Oh.